A man versus a woman's body. As you can see, the Chad original Master Chief is actually very clearly a stocky bodybuilder, where this new Unreal render, he's incredibly curvaceous with much wider hips, thicker thighs, a snatched waist. Okay, yeah, this is all stupid. I don't think I need to tell you that. Even the red outlines, like they had to make it wider than the actual model render on the new version, and they had to make it thinner than it was on the original. This is probably a troll, and I'm not gonna lie, the concept of transvestigating Master Chief is very funny. But to highlight the absurdity of it all, someone highlighted doing the same thing, but actually keeping more accurate to the proportions in the screenshots that were used to prove that he was a man originally, but now he's a woman. Look at his hourglass figure in Halo CE. How could you, Microsoft? You were woke in the 2000s! Hi again, guys, and welcome back to Quite with a Y. If you don't know, Halo had a pretty big announcement recently where they said that they were going to be switching over to Unreal Engine as opposed to Slipspace in the Bungie Legacy engine that Halo has been developed on and upgraded ever since the first game. This man versus woman stuff is very funny to me, and I wanted to at least make a few jokes about it, but I'm mostly here to talk about the actual stuff that was shown off and like what being an Unreal Engine can actually mean for Halo. For one, this was not like an announcement of a game, it was very much just a showcase about things that people at Microsoft have made in Unreal Engine as proof of concept about how Halo could look inside the game. As well as this, we learned that 343 Studios is rebranding to Halo Studios. There's always this running joke that it was funny the studio making Halo is called 343 because that's the name of the villain in the games, and popular opinion has been that the studio absolutely gutted the franchise. It comes across like they're trying to wipe the slate clean in some ways, which makes sense. A lot of the leadership has been swapped around, a lot of employees have been let go from formerly 343, and in the video itself, the people being interviewed say that they are hiring at the new Halo Studios for pretty much every position. They're trying to get new talent in, and they're trying to build a team, and hey, it's a lot more accessible than trying to learn a new engine because we're working on Unreal, some stuff you've probably already worked on. Late Night Gaming is a channel I watch every now and then when I'm trying to get my Halo fix, and they put it best. This video reads, to me at least, like a recruitment drive for the Halo draft. They're making a new game, it's in Unreal, which is a lot more familiar than the engine of old that 343 was using to make Halo Infinite and all the games before it. They fired a bunch of folk, and now they need people on the staff. Alongside this though, they had a few physical things to show off. They created 3 biomes in Unreal Engine that were existing locations in Halo to show how cool the stuff could look when it's being made in Unreal. The first thing they did was Project Foundry, which is where the Halo rings are made, and it's that kind of foresty, green, rocks, and water look that Halo is kind of known for across the board. Halo CE was basically entirely that. All the Forge worlds look like that to varying degrees, and it was basically rendering something in the spirit of that using Unreal Engine. And I gotta say, these look incredible. Now the disclaimer at the bottom is important. Work in progress, content rendered in Unreal Engine 5. This is not a game. This is a proof of concept. It's incredible to look at, and my eyes are really, really happy when I look at it, but it's not like we're looking at a part of a game that we're gonna be able to see. This is basically just them mucking around to get familiar with the engine and how Halo might shape up to be when they actually do get around to making a game. They had another snow biome, which also looks fantastic. And finally, they had a flood biome where I gotta say, I'm incredibly intrigued by everything they did in this one. Seeing the Rod of the Flood overtaking structures in such high rendered detail, it captures my imagination very vividly, I'm not gonna lie. It echoes ideas of that Halo horror game that was never made. And the thing that reminds me the closest of the art design is Scorn. Like, I want that horror game. Again, it's all proof of concept, but it shows that like they're actually doing stuff in the engine, and I'm gonna take it for what it is. As impressive as these vistas are, I'm not huge on them trying to put graphics front and center. Currently, Daniel Henley is the lead effects artist. He said that at the time when it released, Halo was best of the industry graphics-wise. It was cutting edge, it looked the best of any game, and he said that front and center for Halo to come back like that, it also needs to be the best looking game.
The original Halo franchise was a graphics showcase. It was best in class. That's what Halo was when it first was released, and that's what Halo needs to be again.
And I just don't agree, man. Games look good enough that art design can carry it, and as long as it's pretty to look at, I don't need the most technically impressive visuals ever known to man. In fact, I'm kind of worried if that's a leading pillar that they continue to stand by, because it's going to distract from the issues of the actual gameplay. gameplay. The Halo formula needs to be meaningfully evolved, which I think actually Halo Infinite did a good job at, but also it needs to be content complete the next time we actually have a full game come around. That said, they do say they have several projects in the works.
We are really excited to be not just working on multiple projects.
This is the one where this is probably the one I think we're getting first, and what we got to see of what the next Halo game might look like is the original Master Chief Combat Evolved armor, but rendered, you know, really high res, and he's carrying a really sick looking energy sword. Y'all know I am a sucker for particle effects first and foremost, and the ones coming off this one look absolutely dope. Some people were saying that the model itself looks a little off. A lot of people have said the depth of field with the realistic background and then the overly shiny armor in the front is not doing it a lot of favors. My friend Noodle Julian put it pretty well. Somebody on Twitter said, "I need someone smarter than me to explain why this looks weird," and he replied, "I don't know what you're feeling, but for me the shallow depth of field and framing almost makes this feel like a miniature, like this is a really detailed Master Chief figurine," and the posing I think supports that as well. Like, it looks like this is a statue that's stuck in the position that it's in. We do see it in motion, but with the screenshot that's making the rounds, I think that's a pretty fair takeaway. Another thing that a lot of people have been saying is it lacks a lot of the just kind of imperfections that real life armor will have. In Star Wars, Darth Vader's outfit is intentionally designed with grime on it to make it look like it's been through shit and therefore more realistic. This Master Chief model we're looking at is incredibly clean, uncannily so. That said, I do like seeing the old Magnum pistol rendered in stainless steel high detail. It makes me cry. And like I said, this is all supposed to be a proof of concept. And I won't lie, a miniature styled Halo game where everything is consistently in this art style, as long as it's all cohesive, could be really cool, but I don't know if this is the time for Halo Studios, formerly 343, to be taking big artistic swings like that. And I don't think they want to do that either, because from everything that I've seen publicly, and also the rumors of Halo moving to Unreal that have been bubbling for years at this point, apparently being true, there's also been rumors that they are going to completely remake Halo Combat Evolved. They're starting from scratch. They're going to remake that game in Unreal. How much will they change? I don't know. If they change the flood level, that would be really nice because it was super repetitive, but basically proving they can get their bearings on the Halo format by remaking the original beloved one in the new engine. And even though they're literally reinventing the wheel, they don't have to invent something better than the wheel right now. Halo Studios is giving themselves room to work off pre-existing games where the blueprint is there, so maybe this is what allows them to have the time to really focus on making the graphics best in industry. I don't know how I feel about the remake being the first thing there is, but if they're serious about there being multiple projects simultaneously being developed, hopefully across different genres, and I'm hoping for something more than an RTS, I really want a flood horror game. Tell these smaller stories that don't have a universe-shattering impact but are just as compelling. Halo has always had the potential of a Star Wars to be a franchise that has multimedia projects that take place all over the galaxy but are consistently taking place in one universe. The only other things that are comparable to it are things like Marvel or other comic books, but they get away with it because every single piece of media they make across different formats like movies, video games, they exist in different continuities. It's a blessing and a curse for all of it to exist in one timeline, but tell smaller stories and get a handle of what you're doing. I will say a lot of the memes that came out of this have been incredibly entertaining to me. It's that one toothpick meme. 343 Industries is looking a little unsure of itself, but then you change its name to Halo, the toothpick changes everything. Also, I will say, the first time we see the Master Chief model rendered in Unreal Engine is him holding the Magnum fighting an elite that's holding the energy sword, and then at the end we see him holding the energy sword, and I just like the implication that he beat its ass and took that shit. God, I fucking love particle effects! I could go more to the culture war angle where people are just mad at the idea of queer or minorities or black people existing in a space they also exist in at all. I'm really not here to talk about that. I just want to say that I am cautiously optimistic about the future of Halo. And that has nothing to do with it being made woke or whatever. It's that I want the game to be content complete in a focused, finished product by the time we get our hands on it. Unreal Engine should smooth out a lot of the issues that they were having with Slipspace, where they dumped hundreds of millions of dollars trying to get an in-house engine. It could be a marketing pitch for people who are interested in developing the next Halo game, and hopefully it will also just smooth out the process, period. It remains to be seen if Halo's DNA can be retained through this transition. Like, how much of what made Halo feel like Halo was inherent to the fact that they were using an engine that Bungie made in-house? Will remaking Halo Combat Evolved, like arguably a second time, although I guess the first one was a remaster, is that gonna go over well with people who are looking for a complete experience? Are we just gonna ride on nostalgia again? And if they do ride on nostalgia, Does it work? I fucking hope so, man. Halo means a lot to me, man. I started playing Reach on the 360 and fell in love with the original games by playing the Master Chief Collection as recent as last year. Those games hold up, and it still can bring in new people. A lot of people have talked about how they think that Halo as a franchise is dead and doesn't have a future anymore, that its reputation and goodwill have been soured by a shit TV show, by games that let the audience down. And even when Infinite had a really compelling gameplay sandbox, and it felt like that 343 had actually nailed down the formula of how to make it play, it had like 4 maps. It had a campaign that was clearly unfinished, that had DLC that was never going to come out for the campaign. It didn't ship with Forge, it didn't ship with almost all its features because of the development hell it was in, based off all the engine issues that it seems like dominoed into the failure that was the launch of that game. As much as I do enjoy it after it did get Forge added, I still got like 200 hours out of that bitch, despite how bare bones it was for so long. There was something there, man. I have hope that given a much less clunky development process and the right people steering the ship, that we can get something truly special that brings Halo into the modern age. That said, I'm not gonna get burnt again, so I'm hedging my bets on it might shit the bed. Very possible, might even be likely, but if the plan is to really make Halo a multimedia franchise once again, maybe we'll get a more faithful Halo series, something that I can stand to watch a little more. Maybe even if the main line just falls flat, the Halo IP will be given to a studio that has talented people working in it, has good ideas for ways to tell smaller stories, and Halo can have success in these other types of mediums where it doesn't carry the burden of its legacy of being a revolutionary first-person shooter. Anyways, that's all I got. Let me know what y'all think. If I missed anything, got anything wrong in the comments. That kwytebox at gmail.com will be open for topic suggestions if you guys want to set them. Anyways, yeah, piss off.